You know, in a few years, I think people are going to look back at the Wii U and describe it for what it really is, a flop. Because the Wii U has had one of the shortest lifespans of any recent console. The Xbox 360 has lasted a long time, same with the PS3, and the PS2 lasted a long time. But the Wii U, on the other hand, is being abandoned very quickly by Nintendo. And it's only been around 3 years and they're already sending out development kits for the successor. Now that's a big Mountain Dew Code Red level flag right there. I mean, the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 are only 2 years into their lifespan and they're already outselling the Wii U. Game developers have chosen to favor those systems over the Wii U, and those two systems are getting all the big games this holiday season and next year. The Wii U, on the other hand, is getting very few games. I mean, there's little to nothing worth talking about coming out on the Wii U, neither multiplat or exclusive. And due to the lack of new material for the Nintendo Wii U, many gamers online are jumping to every single rumor they can find about the Nintendo NX being the savior of Nintendo. Now, the same journalist who leaked the information about the Nintendo NX's development kits being sent out also just stated that several people who had seen a Nintendo X demo claimed that what they saw was impossible to run on a computer without a quote industry-leading or cutting-edge chips. Now, they did not elaborate on what these chips are or in what way these chips were cutting edge. And of course, they also reminded people that the system is still in development and that the final specifications won't be finalized until much closer to the release date. I mean, remember when they improved the amount of RAM the PS4 had, or cut the amount of RAM the PS Vita had, or increase the Xbox One's clock speed? I mean, who knows? They could change the specs before they come out. But either way, one thing is certain. What is being delivered to consumers should match the preview material, or exceed it, and the reason I'm saying this is lately there has been a lot of talk about games being downgraded in the gaming industry, and the Wii U is no exception. After all, does anybody remember when Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric had that massive downgrade, or when the Wii U had all these demos like the Garden demo, which, did any Wii U game actually look like that? Or let's not forget the whole Wii U Zelda demo, where they showed off this realistic looking Zelda, and you know what Zelda game they ended up announcing? One that looked cartoony, you know, one that many gamers wanted not to happen. And now look at the new Star Fox game for the Wii U. It looks like absolute garbage, and the same with Devil's Third. And it's lagging heavily behind the next-gen systems. But the other thing with the NX is Nintendo is known not to use cutting-edge hardware. Both Hiroshi Yamauchi and Satoru Iwata both said that power doesn't really matter in the GameCube era. And look at the Wii. The Wii was so underpowered that when the motion gimmick wore off, it was just an overpriced GameCube. I mean, because that's what the Wii was in the end, because people moved on from that motion gimmick in a few years. Yet at least when Kinect and PlayStation Move became irrelevant quickly, the people who bought PS3s and Xbox 360s for it still had a bunch of games they could play on it. Or at least they could give it to their kid and they could have a bunch of games to play on it. And even if the Nintendo NX nails the hardware part, what's to say that they won't find another way to screw the system up? I mean, does anybody remember the Cube with its mini discs that couldn't hold as much data as a normal DVD? I mean, the GameCube had multi-disc games, which were rare on the PS2 and non-existent on the original Xbox. And let's not forget that the GameCube also had poor online. I think there were only like 5 or 6 online games compared to the tons of online games on the original Xbox and PlayStation 2. And then the N64 had cartridges and the complex hardware design that was flawed in many ways. In fact, Nintendo actually got the design for the N64 from another company. Look it up. And then of course you have the Wii, which was pretty trashy all around, and like I said, it was not only weak and underpowered, but it also had some other flaws, such as the online service being a complete and utter joke and no Ethernet port. And the Wii U took many of the flaws the Wii had and added some more, such as that horrible gamepad with terrible battery life. And now look at the NX. With the history of making screw-ups when it comes to designing the hardware, what makes you think that the NX is going to be a flawless piece of equipment? For the many gamers burnt by the Wii U, it's going to take a lot of show not tell to convince them that they should buy a Nintendo NX. And one more thing, does anybody remember the whole early Wii U E3 presentations, back before Nintendo just started showing a pre-recorded message? Well, Nintendo's older E3 presentations not only showed third-party developers praising the system, but they even had developers that you'd least likely to see developing Wii U games come up on stage and praise Nintendo and the system. You even had the CEO of EA come up on stage and praise Nintendo, saying that this was the first time they'd done an E3 with Nintendo, and that Nintendo Wii U was going to have all these EA games. Now, of course, that eventually didn't happen, with many conspiracy theories being spewed by many gamers who believe that EA was secretly trying to destroy Nintendo. Forgetting that the Wii U was a weak piece of crap. And then, of course, you also had third-party games not only being shown, many of which never came out, of course, but you even had Ken Levine, of all people, a person you'd least likely to associate with the Mushroom Kingdom, up there in this video they were showing, talking about how the Nintendo Wii U was going to change everything. Well, gee, we all know how well that went. But all in all, the Wii U's disappointing sales and performance in the marketplace prove one thing about gaming right. Many gamers care more about third-party games than they do first-party games. I mean, look at systems like the Amiga, or Atari ST, or the PC in general. The PC doesn't really have a first party unless you count Valve, but a lot of games being played on the PC aren't from Valve. Maybe Microsoft too if you count them, but yeah, a lot of games being played on the PC aren't from either developer. And the Amiga and Atari ST, to my knowledge, did not have any first party games, and look how well known they are in gaming circles, at least in Europe. Now, one other thing I might as well bring up about the Nintendo NX is there's little to no information on what the controller is like, or what the system is going to even be like. I mean, there are all these rumors about it being a console handheld hybrid, but there is very vague information on what they even mean by that. And let's be honest here, is it worth getting hyped over a system that not only has very vague and little information available about it, but also has a spotty track record in general? I mean, the company who made this, Nintendo, they have not been doing so well when it comes to delivering what gamers want. And so, I'd be very, very skeptical of this system and what it's actually going to be like in the end. So all in all, I wouldn't go around hyping this system up or plunking down a bunch of money to pre-order it until more info is revealed. And even then, pre-ordering it's a bad idea considering what happened with the Wii U. Now, I think by now you all know the phrase, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I think that applies to Nintendo right now, because I wouldn't go out and buy a Nintendo NX considering how bad the Wii U is, especially not at full price, and that's all that needs to be said. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more.